In this segment of the course, we examined the concept of property value, and then the methods for finding property value. We began by breaking down property value as a concept. We discussed core principles, the different types of value, and market forces that affect value. Then, we looked at common methods used to determine the value of a property. They included the income approach, the replacement cost or summation approach, and the sales comparison or market data approach. From there, we talked about comparative market analyses. We covered what goes into a CMA and how it differs from a broker price opinion or an appraisal. And then, the last portion was concerned with appraisals. We mainly explored the federal regulations that establish when an official appraisal is required. Valuation is the process of determining the value of real estate. The property value affects the amount of money that the property can be sold for on the open market. It also affects the amount of property taxes the property owner pays. Property value is subject to the shifts in supply and demand, and it's also affected by factors such as competition, conformity, and utility. The market value, which is an estimate of what the property should sell for in the market, isn't necessarily the market price that the property can or will be sold for. However, market value is important in creating a general price range for the property. Market value isn't the only form of value that can be applied to a piece of real estate. It just happens to be the one that you'll work with most often. The value of a property will be affected by many factors, including location, the condition of the property, the status of the local housing market, and the presence of any upgrades or improvements to the property. So how do we find value? There are three main methods. The income approach bases the value on the amount of money a property should generate as compared to the initial investment in the property, which is usually the purchase cost. With the income approach, the net amount of money earned by the property over a period of time is multiplied by a ratio of the net income to the purchase cost of the property, or the cap rate. The replacement cost approach bases the value estimate off the cost required to replace the property with a new one. The value is determined by taking the total cost of replacement and removing the value that has been lost from wear and time. Then the remainder is added to the value of the land. The market comparison approach estimates the value by comparing the property to similar properties that have sold in the same market. Other properties are used to form a baseline. The value is then adjusted up or down based on differences between the evaluated property and the comparison properties. The market comparison approach is at the core of the comparative or competitive market analysis. A comparative market analysis, or CMA, is a report on the estimated value of a property. This estimate is found by selecting properties that are very similar to the evaluated property and then adjusting for the differences that do exist. A CMA can take into account things like price per square foot, which is found by dividing the sale price of a comparable by its area in square feet, and gross income multipliers, which are a multiple of the property's gross income used to evaluate the reasonableness of an asking price. Assessment, on the other hand, is the value estimation done by someone who is licensed or certified to perform this specific type of valuation. An assessor is often needed in situations that involve large amounts of money or circumstances with inheritance or wills. There are specific rules that govern when an official appraisal can be carried out. At this point, you should fully understand what goes into property value, both math and the theory. Our next class will shift to look at the concept of the estate and the rights that come along with property ownership.